Tough loss. Pretty tough loss. Man. Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all that 2017 Week 7 review edition of Redskins Report. I'm going to get straight into this review, no fooling around. I got a lot to talk about, especially with these stank receivers. Let's get it.
Why did he? What's that?
Mama's Boy Productions.
Our ugly 24-34 loss to the division leading rival, the Eagles, had 69,596 fans in attendance. We are now 3-3 on the season. 500. Y'all already know I'm about to hit y'all with these stats this entire episode, but now it's time to start with the good, the bad, and the ugly, starting with the offense. After week 7, our offense is still first in the NFL in third and long percentage with 46.7% converted on first downs. That percentage went down slightly from last week, but we still hold the crown. We are still tied for first in the NFL for 4th and 1 conversions with 100%. We moved down to second in the NFC and third in the NFL in lowest 3 and out drive percentage at only 16.4%. We moved down to third in the NFL in points scored on first offensive possessions with 27. Good to see that we still coming out swinging, sorta. Only a field goal this past game. We just have a problem of allowing people to come back into the game, which is case in point in this game against the Eagles. But there's a lot more stats we should be proud of, but I'm gonna stop here and start to break down the quarterback. Kirk Cousins, he had 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception in a game that he started hot, got cold, with some good throws spread throughout the cold period, and then heated back up. He overthrew receivers a couple of times, threw some balls late, didn't see open receivers at times. One big one was when Josh Doctson was wide open in the end zone and he threw it to Jordan Reed, which resulted in a pass interference on the defense, but Josh Doctson was wide open, straight chilling. Kirk also took a couple of very bad sacks when receivers were open like this play.
Moses, who's gone out a couple of times, is in at right tackle. Cousins got away from Cox, needs to get rid of it. Waited much too long.
Kirk held the ball too long. I mean, at least throw it out of bounds, at the very least. I can't get the all 22 film on it to see how open receivers were, so I can't tell him who he should have thrown it to, but he could have at least thrown it to a lucky fan on the right side. Kirk also is a little too conservative at times. On that 3rd and 4, he converted by throwing the prior. Jordan Reed was pretty open for a big play, but Kirk doesn't really like to throw downfield. But enough of the negatives. Kirk Cousins had a pretty good game. First of all, his interception was not his fault.
Cousins deep drop, running out of time, and he got hit as he threw it, and it's picked off. Corey Graham.
Rush. Graham, 55. Gets a piece of Kirk Cousins' arm. He causes the interception, and just like Fletcher Cox did it to Cam Newton last week, Graham.
It looked like he was about to make a great throw to Jameson, but didn't get a chance to when the Eagles rusher hit his arm. I assume that play would have been made because once Kirk heats up, he's a pretty good quarterback. He starts throwing with accuracy and timing and starts making better decisions. So I believe in him enough to make that play. Also, Kirk made some decent scrambles and runs again. Kirk ran a nice bootleg and threw it to Niles Paul here.
Darby from Buffalo, a cornerback in the preseason. He hurt his ankle. Cousins on target. Niles
using his feet more this year. I love it. I especially love this.
Looked like Cox might have moved early. There is not a flag down. Cousins with some running room. Gets belted.
Good run, Kirk. Good pump fake. Aggressive move. Took a hit. I love it. Quarterbacks using their feet have been killing us all year, so I'm happy to see Kirk returning the punishment to other teams. He doesn't do it at the same dosage as other QBs, but at least he's getting it in a little bit to at least create that threat. Kirk's awareness and IQ are also an improvement from previous years. He's making multiple reads in the same play like here.
The Philadelphia defenders for those playing well. Cousins Cousins has a man wide open. Thompson will walk into the end zone.
Kirk made a couple of reads and threw it to Mr. Dependable, Chris Thompson. I mean, throwing it to Chris Thompson is smart in itself, no matter what's going on. But he's playing smarter overall and releasing the ball quicker for the most part. Even though he got sacked a couple of times with it being his fault for the most part, he's improved in that area this year. Look at this play where Kirk Cousins made a nice throw to Jordan Reed after tricking the defense with a look to the left, even though it's clear that the play was designed for Jordan Reed.
100 yards for the night. He's at 294. He fires one for Reed, who lunges into the end zone.
I also like that he has this in his arsenal of tricks. Also in his arsenal, that fake fumble or whatever he did in the red zone was pretty savvy.
Redskins on 1st and goal from inside the 5. The quick slant to Jordan Reed for a Washington touchdown.
Snap. He crouches, gets up and throws a dart.
What was the point of the crouch, do you think?
Well, he's probably trying to...
Was that drawn up or was that just him improvising? I need answers because that was fire. Kirk's accuracy had moments of ugly too, but when it was on, it was on. I have 3 plays. First, Kirk Cousins makes a great back shoulder throw to Jamison Crowder towards the sideline.
Clock at 1, they just do get it off. Philadelphia brought a blitz, the throw on target.
Second play, Kirk throws a great ball to Doxson right in a window, right in a cushion in the Eagles zone. He threw to a spot on this one, not even necessarily Josh Doxson.
Shoulder that you might need to think more about protecting. Wow, wide open receiver, Josh Doxson.
Third play, Kirk zipped the pass right over the defense to a spot that was right under the safety that was playing high right in cover 2.
3rd down and 11. Cousins steps into the throw, and it's right on target.
Over the underneath coverage and down quickly before the safety can arrive.
I see the growth in Kirk. Solid game from him. He didn't go crazy, but he did his thing. Not his best game of the season, but he wasn't. But shouts out to Kirk for ranking 1st in the NFC and 3rd in the NFL in passer rating with 107.2. Now on to this damaged offensive line. Injuries were eating us alive. As a whole, our offensive line is still great. Like, look at this pocket they gave Kirk so he could take his time and make read. Minus Sean Laval getting bull rushed.
See, the group that is here really has not stepped up. There's a catch.
Even with the injuries, players stepped up and made it work. But let me get into everybody's individual situation. First, Trent Williams, his knee is so bad that he may not practice for the rest of the year. His knee is so bad that he needs surgery that will keep him out for at least 5 months, but he hasn't gotten it yet because he wants to be there for his team, coaches, and fans. But sadly, against the Eagles, he aggravated his knee. He was playing through a lot of pain. He said if doctors advise him to sit a couple of weeks or the rest of the year, he may consider it. But I don't even know how sitting for a couple of weeks would benefit him with the severity of his injury. I really want to know if there's any risk in making his knee any worse. Like, is it possible for him to worsen the injury if he keeps playing? Because if not, and it's just a pain thing, then I could definitely see him fighting through it. But if there's any risk of him making the knee worse, then he should probably sit. And it's crazy too because even with his injury, he's still an above average tackle. He's not himself out there, but he was still out there running on pulls and pancaking folks. I mean, he's the best in the business, y'all, I'm telling you. He's still out here outperforming the competition with only 1 knee. We'll definitely miss him if he ends up missing any time. Second, Spencer Long played well minus a couple of plays where he got pushed back, but he was also dealing with an injury with his knee quad tendonitis. But he held it down out there when he was able to play. Third, Brandon Sheriff, who has the highest Pro Football Focus ranking of any offensive player on our team through the first 7 weeks, was out there killing it before and after the back injury he sustained from rookie Derek Barnett's illegal cheap shot hit that wasn't called somehow. Then later on, a defensive lineman pushed back by Sean Laval's good block ran into Brandon Sheriff and he suffered a grade 2 MCL sprain. He should be good to go against the Cowboys this coming Sunday though, so that's good to hear. Him and Trent Williams are the cream of the crop of their respective positions. We need them both. Sheriff has been the 2nd best run blocking guard in the NFL through the first 6 weeks. Fourth, Morgan Moses had a decent game, but he hurt both of his ankles in the 2nd quarter. So playing it all with no ankles as a 335-pound man is crazy in itself. So the fact that he even held his own for most of the game is good enough for me. Fifth, Sean Laval, the only offensive lineman to play every offensive snap, had his best game of probably ever. He did more than hold his own, but he allowed this play to happen.
Cousins deep drop, running out of time, and he got hit as he threw it. Cousins deep drop,
He allowed Graham to get Kirk and hit his arm, which resulted in the interception by the other Graham. The name Graham is now an enemy to this team. But yeah, Sean Laval gave up a big play. And he also, in a weird way, is responsible for Brandon Sheriff's injury. It's sad that he had one of his best games ever in his career, but he caused an interception that hurt us as a team and hurt arguably our best player on the team by running somebody into his leg. Better luck next time, Laval. Lastly, my boy Chase Rollier, who I was talking about over the offseason. He came in and balled out. He came in and played both center and guard and did his thing. You know how fire you gotta be to play both in a career, let alone in a single game? It was like we didn't even miss a step when the rookie came in. Y'all know he was the same draft pick as Tom Brady, number 199. I'm telling y'all, the Tom Brady of offensive linemen, just watch, you'll see. The running backs, mostly Chris Thompson, played well. Samaje Perine and Mac Brown didn't play at all, and Rob Kelly held his own, had an average game, but we only ran the ball 25.8% of our 62 snaps, so he didn't have much of a chance to get going and develop a rhythm anyway. But Chris Thompson was out there balling as usual, looking like our best offensive weapon, which is without a doubt. He's also producing. He's always producing. He has a knack for getting touchdowns.
Philadelphia defenders for those playing well. Cousins has a man wide open. Thompson will walk into the end zone.
He didn't have a lot of yards receiving with 26 and rushing with 38, but he made plays. And he also has an underrated ability to block for the passing game. Watch this good pickup block he had in the third quarter on that aggressive run Kirk had that I showed y'all earlier.
Looked like Cox might have moved early. There is
Jordan Reed got beat so bad. Look at it again. Chris Thompson probably saved Kirk's life. You can tell he really wants to win. He's obviously the team's best offensive weapon, yet he still does the dirty work in addition to all of that, and willingly. He's not making plays and then playing lazy or scared when it comes time for him to block or do other dirty work. He's giving Kirk the time he needs to make plays like those or down the field. And shouts out to Chris Thompson for ranking first in the NFL in many statistical categories like receiving yards amongst running backs with 366 and average receiving yards per catch with 15.9. Our tight ends, once again, great in the passing game, but terrible at blocking. Neither Niles Paul, Vernon Davis, or Jordan Reed could block a soul. It just so happens that Jordan Reed is clearly the worst blocker of the three, as you can see in that play where Chris Thompson stepped up big I just showed y'all. But that's not a compliment. They are also basically receivers. Vernon Davis is at least willing to block, but he's not good at it. Jordan Reed is terrible and it looks like he doesn't even try sometimes. And his technique and IQ as far as blocking is atrocious. It looks like he's not even coached right or something. It's so humiliating. He got beat by a rookie on this play.
150 snaps this year, most in the league, and they're after Cousins and they get him. 150 snaps this year, most in the league, and they're after Cousins and they get him.
Just ugly. He gonna be the downfall of Kirk Cousins if he keep this up. But as far as making plays through the air, there's not many who are better than Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. Niles Paul got it in a little with a catch on that bootleg I showed y'all earlier.
Darby from Buffalo, a cornerback in the preseason, he hurt his ankle. Cousins on target. Niles Paul was a gutty call. Running a bootleg to your quarterback's non-throwing shoulder.
But Vernon and Jordan were out there killing the Eagles. Vernon Davis had two nice plays. Here's the first.
To run the ball more this year, and they've done so effectively. Cousins deep down the field and caught. First down and much more. Into Philadelphia territory goes the ageless Vernon Davis.
In here tonight, and they go right after Hicks with Vernon Davis. Hicks fell down and he's hurt.
And the second one looks all too familiar.
The group that is here really has not stepped up. There's a catch in the secondary. Vernon Davis. Another big gainer.
This is like the third straight week Vernon has torched the defense. Jordan Reed was killing them too. And that's two as in 2 touchdowns. He made a nice catch and did a great job of falling forward here.
Redskins on first and goal from inside the 5. A quick slant to Jordan Reed for a Washington touchdown.
And he ran a good route, made a nice catch, and fell forward again for another touchdown here.
Yards for the night, he's at 294. He fires one for Reed, who lunges into the end zone. Touchdown, Washington.
Big red zone threat like he always should have been this whole year. But he's not just a threat in the red zone. He was out there making plays anywhere on the field. Like this unguardable third down play where he got us a first down and kept the drive alive.
The talented body, 6 of the 7 first or second round draft picks. They get close to Cousins. He threw a wobbler, but it got to Reed.
He's looking like his old self again. He was a huge threat in the passing game. It would have just been nice if he wasn't just as big of a threat to Kirk Cousins and our running backs. But our wide receivers, whoo boy, there was sloppy route running at times. There were wrong routes ran at times, like just straight up didn't know, remember, or understand the play that was called type of wrong routes. Of the 4 receivers that played, Crowder probably played the best or most consistent as far as a combination of route running, catching, blocking, and everything that a receiver needs to do, not just the stuff that's seen by a casual fan. He did have a nice casual fan-friendly play in the first quarter.
Niles Paul lines up in the backfield as a fullback. Cousins on target again. Jamison Crowder on cue.
AG good. He steps up and Crowder fools him.
He also had that nice back shoulder catch towards the sideline that I showed y'all earlier.
At 1, they just do get it off. Philadelphia brought a blitz. The throw on target.
I just wish he could hold on to punts. Please. He's making me nervous. I shouldn't be so nervous on punt returns like I am. I should be excited and anxious, not worried. Dotson had his most productive day as a receiver, statistically, and showed why he has the potential to be a deadly wide receiver 1 in the NFL. But he didn't care to even try on some run blocking plays. He was completely lost sometimes. Straight up didn't care sometimes. Got beat, didn't want to hold, so he just let the defender go sometimes. I mean, just Dotson seems to not care enough. He made a catch and only had 1 yard to go for the first, but didn't get it because he allowed a Philly DB to throw him around and behind the first down. Tragic. You gotta fight harder than that. You are bigger than the DB. But he was catching passes when they were thrown to him, and he made a lot out of a simple little screen pass right here.
Quick hitter to Josh Dotson. Avoids the tackle and then runs out of bounds.
Ryan Grant went out there and played average, just straight average. But what really stuck out was this one play he ran twice in the same game. The first time he ran it, Grant went out of bounds short of the first down. It looks like he easily could have gotten the first down if he really wanted to. All he had to do was cut in as soon as he caught the ball, but he hesitated, tried to juke out the DB, and it ended up going out of bounds. But the worst part is, on that same exact play, way later in the game, when we needed him to get out of bounds to stop the clock, he cut back inside trying to make a play and got tackled and was responsible for allowing a lot of clock to run out. I mean, he did the exact opposite of what he was supposed to do both times. If he would have just done vice versa, we would have been straight. But also, him staying in bounds in that late play forced the Redskins to hurry up to the line of scrimmage. So you had hurt and very tired offensive linemen sprinting up to the line of scrimmage rather than being able to take their time. I was like, what? Like this guy here, bruh, you had one job. Looks like he was trying to sabotage the team. I mean, so much irony in those two plays. And then you have Terrell Pryor, who Pro Football Focus has rated as our worst offensive player, who technically got benched later in the game, was out there looking like a QB playing wide receiver. He kept running straight into DBs with his chest squared up, allowing DBs to jam him up and disturb his timing with Kirk Cousins on routes. He was not doing a good job of avoiding contact at all. He was basically getting bullied before plays were even 2 seconds in. Pryor also had a couple of drops this game, but that's typical. He ended up getting benched for Dotson. And the main reason for this is that they both play the same type of receiver position. Josh and Pryor are both X receivers, so even though it would seem logical to try to put them both out there at the same time, we kinda can't. X, Y, and Z receivers play different ways. So since they both play at X, it's a fight for playing time. And right now, Josh Dotson is winning by default and not even necessarily earning it, but it's frustrating because they both have so much potential and talent that I'm hoping that they can fix these problems. But it appears to me that both of their main problems are that they don't want to win enough. Dotson doesn't want to do anything that helps the team besides run routes and catch passes. Pryor doesn't want to take hits, so he's dropping very catchable balls because he's thinking too much about defenders coming down on him. It's crazy how much we miss Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. I mean, it truly shows. We really miss Pierre's toughness and hands, and we really miss Deshaun's big playmaking ability and his ability to take the lid off the defense. I mean, we miss both of their route running, toughness, caring, and most importantly, dependability. The Pryor experiment looks like a bust thus far. No hands, no toughness, scared to get hit, not trying to avoid jams, not creating enough space. Dotson is not playing very well or with passion or much of any level of caring, but at least he's not Pryor. It's sad that our tight ends Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis are better receivers than our receivers. I mean, it's in y'all name. I thought our wide receiver group would be one of the best, but they're actually one of the worst. They're actually holding this team back in a way. Crazy stat, no Redskins wide receiver ranks in the top 90 of receiving yards. Our running back and tight end do though. Chris Thompson is ranked 24th and Vernon Davis is ranked 57th. If we got better receiver play, we could win in spite of these injuries. And better wide receiver play will make Kirk Cousins and our running backs look better. Kirk and our running backs make their fair share of mistakes, but them receivers out there letting Nas down. Get it together, y'all. Y'all have too much potential and talent to be out there looking like that. But overall, shouts out to the offense for playing well. Inconsistencies all around the offensive side of the ball, but it almost came together well enough for a victory. Just need these tight ends to block somebody. Needs these wide receivers to play like NFL caliber wide receivers and do more than just receive. And they're not even doing that. And we definitely need our offensive line to get healthy. We got to get it together to beat Dak and them boys this coming Sunday. Now this defense. The common theme these past few weeks, the defense plays very well, but gives up big plays at the worst times. As a whole, we play man coverage very well. We get a lot of pressure. We now have athletic inside linebackers that can make plays, but mostly because of injuries, our defense just gives up big plays. Now let's talk about these trenches. Poor Matt Ioannidis, I feel so sorry for him. His partner in crime, Jonathan Allen, wasn't there Monday night and won't be there for months. So Matt was getting double teamed a lot. He still had an impact on the game and got some pressure, had some nice run stops. He consistently clogged up the interior, but he couldn't have a lot of impact on the game because offensive linemen were just focusing most of their attention on him. He's probably the only person who misses Jonathan Allen more than me. Jonathan Allen was my favorite player to watch on this team on defense before he got hurt. I watched so much of his film from Alabama during the months leading up to the draft, and I never even dreamt of getting him with us having the 17th pick. I mostly watched this film as a guide, template, outline, standard, whatever you want to call it, to compare other defensive linemen to when I watch their film. I can't wait to get him back, and I know Matt Ioannidis can't wait either. Jonathan Allen was making Ioannidis' life so much easier. Now we're stuck with Ziggy Hood, Terrell McClain, and Stacy McGee, who went out there against the Eagles and did just that. Be there. McClain played the worst of the three, but they all played super average to below average. Not terrible though. I'm rooting for these boys too, because I want them to be great so we can win, but I just gotta call it how I see it, and them boys out there just being there. Now these outside linebackers. Ryan Kerrigan played well. He was getting a lot of pressure, forcing holding penalties. He was great against the run on some plays. I like how he moved around. He even rushed from the interior D-line sometimes. It was effective too. I like the creativity from Greg Minuski and Jim Tomsula.
Everybody play naked. Spot naked. Everybody play butt naked.
I love how versatile Ryan Kerrigan was too. We should definitely use that to our advantage with Jonathan Allen gone. Matt Ioannidis needs some help, at least a distraction, but Ryan Kerrigan played well. He didn't get a lot of sacks, but he helped others get theirs. His only real problem was he kept tripping and falling. Just sloppy. But I guess it weighs on you when you lead the outside linebacker group in snaps played for the 5th time this year with 53 snaps this game against the Eagles. Preston Smith was second in snaps played with only 30. He didn't play great this game. This was probably his least impactful game of the season. Well, actually, it was his least impactful game because the offsides penalties he kept getting against the Chiefs impacted the game a lot. Sadly, it was just a negative impact. But he had that great one spin move against the Eagles where he pretended to run outside and then he spun right back inside. This got him a great run stop that had the potential to gain a lot of yards. Shouts out to Preston for that one. Junior Gillette played 27 snaps and played well with those snaps. This is probably his most effective game of the season. He had a great chase down tackle after a missed Monte Nicholson tackle.
Vitae in at left tackle for Peters. Wentz, the zone read. Take the blunt, much more than the first down. Vitae in at left tackle for Peters. Wentz, the zone read. Take the blunt, much more than...
I love that motor. Love it. It seems like a minuscule and tedious trait to have because it doesn't benefit a player every play, only on rare moments, but it can be a game changer for real, for real. Y'all will see. Junior Gillette also made a great tackle that was taken away because of Ryan Anderson's face mask penalty that was completely unnecessary because Junior Gillette had him by himself. But speaking of Ryan Anderson, this guy here, man, this y'all boy, he played quite a bit with 22 snaps, but he did nothing with it except for get a face mask penalty that canceled out Junior Gillette's great play. Ryan Anderson didn't get a single tackle or QB pressure. No recordable stats. And I knew this would happen the day we drafted him. When we drafted him, I immediately got mad. It was a super reach. I thought we would have picked up Tim Williams, who was on the same team as Ryan, Alabama, and played the same exact position but was clearly better. Or I thought we was going to get Zach Cunningham, who I could have sworn we were going to get that draft, and who was still available. Now he going crazy for the Texans. But the day after the draft, when I started doing my research on Ryan Anderson, the things I read about him and the film I watched on him seemed positive. He definitely wasn't as good as Tim Williams or Zach Cunningham. I mean, Zach Cunningham is lights out, the best one out of all three of them. But I was like, it's still a reach, but he might pan out to be something pretty good with all his intangibles and all of that. Nope. Some butt. I hope he turns it around though, because with the exclusion of him, this year's Redskins draft class is legendary. Jonathan Allen, Fabian Moreau, Monte Nicholson, Chase Rollier, and Samaje Perine when he gets it together. Ooh, this draft class looking nasty. Just need Ryan Anderson to step his game up, man. But on to this inside linebacker group. Both Zach Brown and Mason Foster played every defensive snap, 65 of them things. Will Compton and Matrell Spate only played special team snaps again for the second straight week. Zach Brown didn't have his best game. He played very well in terms of everything an inside linebacker can do besides cover. He was making a lot of plays in the backfield. He was very disruptive. He just doesn't cover well. He allowed some big plays with some bad coverage, but he got beat the worst in that dreaded quarters play we play in. That dreaded zone. And I'm going to talk about us running quarters and zone a little later because it's so tragic. But back to Zach Brown. He had 1.5 sacks in this game. Here's one that almost got away.
And they stick with the tempo. Wentz avoided Kerrigan, but now he's down. The ball came out.
He was on Carson Wentz's neck a lot of the night. Specifically this play right here.
Knee injury. Here comes Mason Foster on a blitz, and as Wentz tried to get...
Thank you very much, Zach Brown. Mason Foster almost folded that sack away. You cannot tackle Carson Wentz at the ankles or feet. Thank you, Zach, for cleaning that up. And good blitz call by Greg Minuski. Shouts out to Zach Brown for being first in the NFC and second in the NFL in tackles with 63. But speaking of Mason Foster, he had a pretty good game. He lost contain on some very crucial plays and allowed some first downs. He messed up in some coverages. I mean, can't blame him for the one against Zach Ertz.
Easy going of the Gruden brothers starting to get a little fired up on that sideline. Here's Wentz deep down the field and caught. Still on his feet, Zach Ertz.
Pretty much everybody in the NFL loses coverage battles against Zach Ertz. But he had other times he was beating coverage too. I mean, he just moves slower just in general than I'm used to seeing. But he still had a pretty good game overall. Man, these young boys out here still stepping up big time. Specifically Quentin Dunbar and Kendall Fuller again. And I'm at the age where it's starting to get weird, where there are players in the NFL that are younger than me. I just got to the stage and I don't like it. It's going to take some time for me to adjust to it. Kendall Fuller is about 4 months younger than me. That's so crazy to me, especially since he looks older than me. But everybody in the NFL looks older than me, so. But back to the topic. Quentin Dunbar, Kendall Fuller, and Bashard Breeland played very well. They rarely got beat. And when that rare occurrence happened, guess where most of it came from? That nasty zone where we're nowhere near as effective as we are in man. We are near elite in man. We are slightly above average, if not just average, at zone. But zone has a lot of mental and experience involved, so these young players may be able to grow into good zone corners eventually. But for now, letting them boys go out there and blanket receivers is our best bet. But I do understand mixing it up occasionally so we aren't predictable on defense. But please, Greg Minuski, limit it as much as you can. Fabian Moreau got burned horribly last week against the 49ers because of the zone. But for these individual players, starting with Quentin Dunbar, who played the most snaps out of all of the corners with 64, he got his first interception of the season.
He that caused him to come out of last week's game against San Francisco. Wentz out of the end zone. Long, wobbly pass that's intercepted by Quentin Dunbar. Position.
We had no chance from the very beginning, and there's our grinder filling in for Josh Norman with a big interception that set up.
Congrats. It's sad too because that interception actually helped the Eagles more than it hurt them. It was actually a better result than punting the ball, which could have gotten blocked or returned for a good gain or even a touchdown. But that's neither here nor there. I'm glad he made the play. Get them stats, boy. I see you. But he had a great game though. Mostly only got beat on great routes that were drawn up and executed well, and great passes thrown by possibly this year's league MVP Carson Wentz. This man used to play wide receiver, just became a corner a couple of years ago, and he's out here doing his thing. He did have an ugly missed tackle that allowed Philly to get in the field goal range, but he had 2 passes defended and 4 solo tackles. Just gotta work on them penalties, man. He had 2 penalties, face mask, and a pass interference, and both of them ultimately led to points, a field goal, and a touchdown. But I'm gonna let that slide if you keep playing as well as you do. Just fix that up. We need perfection out here. This defense cannot have any errors. Bashaud Breeland played very well through his injury, probably his best game coverage-wise all year. With 29 defensive snaps and 4 targets, he did not allow a single reception. He defended a pass on 2 consecutive drives, and one of them was on 3rd down. Lockup. He didn't get beat much at all, and he tackled well. He just had 2 defensive holding penalties and 1 missed tackle, but he played so well besides that. Pro Football Focus graded him the highest rating on the team, only tied with Jordan Reed. Kendall Fuller was pretty much locked down all game. He played a season-high 54 snaps. He was great in coverage, had 4 solo tackles, and 2 of them were on 2-yard rushes by LeGarrette Blount. A corner solo tackling Blount does not happen often at all. So that's amazing right there, Fuller. Fuller's only real fail was the touchdown allowed to Nelson Aguilar, but guess what we were running? That dreaded zone coverage I keep talking about.
Inside fake and another touchdown.
Play action pass, he fools you underneath coverage, and
I'm telling y'all, this zone seems to be dangerous for us. It is not healthy. But in man, he was locked down. I love this lockdown union we have. It's crazy that we might get Josh Norman coming back this week against the Cowboys. Did y'all know that Josh Norman is 6th in the NFL in forced fumbles, even though he's missed half the season? But him coming back is really crazy, because then it's like, does that mean Quentin Dunbar goes from having the most snaps out of any corner against the Eagles on Monday night to sitting on the bench? Or does Breeland, who just came off his best game of the season, find himself on that bench? Kendall Fuller is the slot corner, so he'll always be out there. He doesn't have to worry. But this is crazy. How is this going to work with Josh Norman coming back? Them boys been holding down the fort while he was gone, I swear. Now the safeties. I'm going to start with DJ Swearinger. He had some good moments in this game, but this was his worst game by far all season. By far. Pro Football Focus gave him a grade of 43.3. Ooh, boy. He was looking so ugly in that coverage limelight, like this play right here.
He really earned the respect of his teammates with that toughness. Going for a deep ball, has a man behind the defense. It's caught for a touchdown.
tough. The man just gets smashed, and he gets up the next play and throws a bomb for a touchdown. He did it against the Panthers, and he does it again in the Washington Redskins on a beautiful double move against DJ Swearinger.
This play was the logo for DJ's coverage Monday night. This big play he gave up to Mac Hollins was the result of DJ just simply being out of position. He was not the deepest player when he needed to be. His only responsibility that play was to not get beat deep. And what'd he do? Get beat deep. That pass from Carson Wentz traveled in the air for 62.8 yards. That's the longest throw in the air for a touchdown in the last 2 seasons. So, you know, if you're DJ, you can flip that and look at it as they got to do the unthinkable to beat me. But nah, you just got beat. And then he had good coverage on Zach Ertz on this play and still got beat.
A blitz from Washington. Wentz, a bullet over the middle, caught inside the 10-yard line.
Tragic. You know, when you just having a bad day, that was DJ on Monday night. When he was wrong, he was wrong, and when he was right, he was still wrong. It's just one of them days. This game clearly showed that he is much better at strong safety. He has the extremely high IQ of a free safety, but he is built for strong safety. Hard hitting and great tackling, minus his one play.
His ability, make adjustments at the line of scrimmage. In the flat, nice move, and Zach Ertz.
Flat route, he beat Swearinger after the catch. 6 as a rookie, caught 58. Then he caught 75 and 70.
Ooh, boy. Horrible. He went outside on that play, but that's rare for him though. So I'll sweep that under the rug this time. But you know who has the skill set to be a true free safety? Rookie Monte Nicholson. He played well. Not lights out amazing, but he did his thing. His athleticism and great hips show. His long range affects the game. He also has a knack for disguising coverage as well. He had that one missed tackle that Junior Gillette saved us on.
The zone read. Take the blunt much more than
But besides that, he played his tail off. We got to steal in the draft with him. I thought he was a super average player at Michigan State. And when we drafted him in the 4th round, I was like, what? I thought it was a super reach. But he's come out here in the absence of Sua Cravens and balled out. I love him out there making quarterbacks nervous and slaying the ball around. He may make mistakes every now and then, but he's a rookie. And he's clearly showing he's a better free safety than DJ. Not safety in general, not player in general, but definitely a better free safety specifically. Keep doing your thing, Monte. Overall, the defense played pretty well, made a lot of great plays, but just gave up a lot of plays. They held the Eagles scoreless in the first quarter, which is crazy because the Eagles entered the game leading the NFL with a 38 scoring differential in the first quarter. This perfectly encompasses how we start so hot and then sizzle out as the game wears down. Injuries also have an influence on this, but we can't make excuses. Nobody's gonna look at our losses this year 5 years from now and be like, but they had so many injuries that game. All that matters is getting the job done, and we just have to limit big plays. We also need to get better on third downs. We allowed the Eagles to convert 6 of their 12 third downs. That's half of them, and 3 of the 6 conversions were 3rd and 6 or longer. We did a great job on run defense though. The Eagles running backs only gained 64 yards on 25 carries. We now rank 2nd in the NFL in rushing yards allowed with only 394, and we are 9th in rushing average allowed with 3.58. These are huge improvements from last year. Also, statistically, this was our worst game defensively in points allowed, 34, touchdowns allowed, 4, and passing yards allowed, 298. We just played against probably the most potent offense in the NFL, being led by the front runner of league MVP, while we still have key starters injured, and we didn't get embarrassed. Folks held their own. I'm disappointed, but I'm proud at the same time. I mean, look at these few plays where we have pressure on Wentz, and he makes plays that most quarterbacks in NFL can't make. Let's start with this one.
They start from their own 20, a minute 52 to go in the half. Wentz takes off running.
I mean, we had good pressure. He just used his athleticism to run for the first down. Now look at this one.
Wentz stays on his feet, gets it off, and it's a touchdown.
They throw it for a touchdown against the Redskins, and how about that pocket toughness? How does he get away from all these free rushers and make throws like that?
We had great pressure, but he somehow escaped and throws one of the best throws of the season. Definitely a player of the year candidate. Only a handful of people in the world can even do that. And then there's this play that I'm sure has been all over ESPN this week.
Lined up as if they're coming after him, and they do. And he's in trouble. Wentz will be escaping from the 18-yard line. How in the world did that happen?
Is he down? Where did he go? Amazing. He came out of a pile of bodies. And he's not down.
Wentz magically escaped the pile like a butterfly coming out of his cocoon. And then he ran for a crucial first down on 3rd and 8. And these are the plays that count towards us on defensive statistics for third down conversions like I mentioned earlier. And this led to a touchdown later in that drive. I mean, it's crazy. We are there and do almost everything right, but just don't finish the play. Carson Wentz doesn't care if you're there. He's cold-blooded. I can't even hate. I gotta give that man his props. That man ain't playing with anybody this season. Now, Nick Rose, rookie kicker. We just picked him up after Dustin Hopkins got hurt last week against the 49ers. He did his thing too. He was 3 for 3 on PATs, and he made his first and only career field goal kick from 27 yards out. He didn't let us down. I hope he can keep this up. His kickoffs were good too. 3 of his kickoffs went for touchbacks, and that other one was kicked into the end zone, but that petty receiver was stubborn and tried to return it anyway, but only got to the 19-yard line. Just childish, messing up my boy Nick Rose's perfect kicker rating. But that's it for this episode. Thanks for the view. Struggle game, but at least we have the things that we can clearly point to and say we need to work on that. We aren't losing games and scratching our heads wondering what went wrong. Like, we don't know what happened. Injuries along with a slew of other issues are killing us, but we gon' bounce back against Dallas this coming Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time. I'm sure of it. But make sure y'all Dolemite fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back, and most importantly, comment and share. Thank you. I'm out.